Good morning, this is Penny Ferguson, a living leader, and today I'd like to speak about asking for feedback. I got asked, somebody very kindly said to me they'd like me to talk a little bit about this, about Johari's window, and I won't bother to go into the explanation of that, but it's very much about finding out who you are from other people's perspective. It's really interesting, and I can think back to when I first started my business. I thought I was really open and honest and easy to work with and all of those good things. And then I found that there were things that people weren't telling me. And it took me a bit of time to work it out. And then eventually I did sort of ask people. And they said, no, we're not always going to tell you these things. You're really scary. And I thought, what? Me? I'm the least scary person I know. They can't be talking about me. And it was a real, almost wake-up call that my perception of myself was not necessarily what other people's perception was. And since then, it's become really clear to me that that's true of, to be honest, almost all of us. We have a perception of ourselves, and yet other people, for whatever reason, the behaviours that we demonstrate see us as something different. I can still remember when I was running a program once, somebody who came on a program, I won't tell you the whole saga because it takes too long, but he had a perception of himself, but he couldn't get his team to tell him what they thought of him. He said, I keep asking, but they'll never give me feedback. So I said, okay, I suggested a way he might approach it. And he got one day when he'd got the team together. So he had all the team there and he said, look, I just want to share with you how important it is that I become a really great leader. That's who I want to be and how I want to be. And I need your help, guys. I don't just need you to tell me when I do things well. I need you to tell me when I do things not so well. And of course they all sat there thinking, oh God, I'm not going to say anything, I'm not going to be the first, this could be a really unpopular move. But he was ready for it this time. So he said, okay, let me kick off. And he had a flip chart and stand, and he said, let me kick off. He said, I'm very aware that when we come to meetings, it's nearly always my ideas that we run with. I'm full of ideas, and I think I listen to you, but by and large, it's nearly always my ideas that we run with. That be fair. And to start with, nobody said anything, and then a brave person said, well, yes, maybe. So he put it up on the board. And he said, okay, come up with something else. And nobody said anything. He said, okay, something else I've become a bit aware of. He said, if you come to me with a problem, he said, I'm nearly always inclined to immediately leap in and give you advice, rather than helping you think it through for yourself. Would that be true? And somebody, well, yes, probably. Anyway, he said he had to come up with 3 things. He said 3 pages later, he was absolutely reeling. And he said it was such a shock to him because so many of the things he was doing that he thought were really helpful were actually pissing people off. And he said it was a major wake-up call. He said he also thought he'd opened Pandora's box, and now they'd have no respect for him, all of this. But he said within 24 hours, each and every one of them came to him and said that was one of the most amazing things that we've ever seen. You've got 100% support from us, and let me tell you some other things we think you do well. He said it was amazing. Motivation in the team went up. All sorts of things happened. But the most important message here is that he had no idea that some of the things that he thought were being really helpful were having the opposite impact. And so for him, this was amazing because he did want to be a great leader. He did care about them all, but he didn't get the feedback. Now, I've occasionally done exercises with teams where I've said, okay, I want us all to go around the room. I want you to all share with people 3 things. One thing that you'd like them to start doing that you would find really useful if they do it. One thing you'd like them to stop doing, could be something that pisses you off. And one thing you'd like them to do more of. So this is a fairly easy way of going about it. But I believe, and I've done it with countless teams, and what they've learned has been phenomenal. And I have to say that the 2 things, no, probably the one thing that's the most powerful is stop doing. And it nearly always comes down to stop giving me advice. So much of the time, that's what it comes down to. You know, you're sending the message, I'm not capable of doing this for me. And so it's really interesting when you hear things like that. Now, what about getting feedback as a mother or a father? That's probably tougher, and I would suggest you start with those three things. Okay, maybe when you're having a Sunday lunch, let's all see if we can give each other feedback to become even closer and better together as a family and support each other more. Let's all tell each of us something that we'd like everybody to start doing, something we'd like everybody to stop doing, and something we'd like everybody to do more of. And it can be really interesting. Now, I actually don't have a problem. You need to remember that my co-director is my younger daughter, Emma. And, of course, she works with me, and she's been through all this. So I have no difficulty getting feedback. I get it straight between the eyes. And maybe not always quite the way I might like to hear it, but I get it. Now, I believe that everybody wants to be at some level the best they can be. It doesn't matter if it's as a boss, as a colleague, as a friend, as a parent. It really doesn't matter. But the thing is that if we don't know how other people perceive us, we will have our own perception of who we are and how we come across. That may not be accurate. It may not be. In fact, there's a very strong possibility, and I'd even put it as strong as probability, that it isn't. So it's down to you. If you wish to become wonderful at all of these things, or at least become the best you can be at all of those things, then you need to ask for feedback. But also recognize that is a scary thing to ask people to do, probably especially in the workplace, because last time I looked, corporate suicide was not a popular pastime, and telling the boss where they're screwing up is probably not a quick route to promotion. However, they need to be comfortable, so you need to explain to them why it's important to you and help them feel safe and comfortable. So you may need to kick off with a couple of things yourself. However, there's one good golden rule about all of this, and that is don't defend. Whatever you do, don't defend, because the temptation is to say, yes, but you know why I did this is because. You only have to do that once. They'll never give you feedback again. So you need to listen, and maybe you need to ask questions and say, wow, that wasn't the way I meant to come across, but tell me, what was I doing that caused you to feel like that? Because it would be really helpful to me to understand. So if you need to ask questions to understand, that's one thing. If you want to attempt to explain it away or defend it, that's the kiss of death. They're not going to give you feedback again, or they're going to start getting, if it's your kids, they'll start getting stroppy. You never listen to me. I'm trying to tell you, you're not listening. So you have to be prepared to keep your mouth shut and recognize that their perception is their reality. And that's how it is. That's how it is for them, whether you like to hear it or not. So that's my thought for you for this week. And it is really powerful. I don't pretend it's not a bit scary, but it is really powerful. If you can do it, you will become so much, I hate the word better, but you'll become more effective in whatever way you want to be more effective, as a boss, as a leader, as a colleague, as a friend, as a parent, whatever. So I hope you'll have a wonderful week. I hope our weather continues to be as nice as it's looking to be at the moment. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great time. This is Penny Ferguson, a Living Leader.